I want to talk about how effective tapping can be for sleep or insomnia. We now have research, German researchers that have shown through an fMRI study, so that brain scan equipment, which actually shows that if you are imagining tapping on the pressure point, so rather than actively tapping on the pressure point when you wake up in the night, which may serve to actually wake you up even further, German researchers have now indicated that in that MRI equipment facility, that imagining tapping on those pressure points actually fires the brain in the same way. So for many decades, many of us have always assumed this was the case, but we now actually have documented evidence that this is indeed what happens. The reference and article access is below this video, so you can actually read what they did in that study. It's particularly effective to use imagining tapping on those pressure points when you're lying in bed. So if you can't get to sleep, you have actually woken in the middle of the night and can't get back to sleep, or early morning wakening, so waking just too early and feeling fatigued in the day, is rather than actively tap or even use those discrete points, which is the side of the fingernails, which again might be too active, that imagining tapping on those pressure points with whatever is happening in your mind may be the way to actually use tapping in the middle of the night. So remember, the way you would apply this is to actually acknowledge what it is that's happening in your mind. So it might be that my thoughts are racing and I can't get back to sleep. It might be I'm worrying about whatever it is that's happening yesterday, today, tomorrow, that type of thing. It's acknowledging what it is. It's the limiting beliefs you might be saying to yourself. I always wake up at this time. I can never go to sleep properly. I'm such a light sleeper. So even those belief statements can actually be tapped on with this. What I always suggest when we're tapping for sleep is to introduce the idea as you start to feel the body relax a little bit after several rounds of tapping on what's actually happening, is start to be suggestive in your tapping. So if you found after 4 or 5 rounds of tapping on those worrying thoughts in your mind that the body's relaxing somewhat, you might actually start to say things like, I'm open to drifting off to sleep. I'm open to drifting off to sleep. I welcome deep restorative sleep. I often add that word in, restorative, so even if it's a short time frame I have left for sleep in the night, that it's deeply restorative. So that's a favourite word of mine that I hope you borrow. So basically the idea here is you are adding that positive tapping in, but after you've done several rounds of tapping on what has woken you up or the reason that you're actually not drifting off easily. I hope this tip might be helpful, and I see you again in another tapping tip.